Hey there, everybody. How you doing today? I hope you're having a good day. I was going to talk to you about a couple of things, and I'm going to title this message at the end of the message, and I'm going to because I really feel led of the Lord to talk about what I'm about to talk about, and we'll just have to get started. One of the things is that people base their uh, some people base faith on something that you can't you don't have any proof of, and some people base their faith on things that they just it's just a it's just something weird. That's sort of how they put it. And here's the thing about that. Your faith is something that you can that's tangible, that you can hold on to. And when it comes to being saved, um, one of the things I want us to remember, Acts chapter 1 verse 3 and Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1. And I want to stay focused on those two verses for just a little bit, but I'm not going to quote them just yet. Keep those verses in mind. Acts chapter 1 verse 3 and Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1. But people base their faith on something that's not tangible. They base it on something that really they feel you can't prove it, or it's just you just have faith. And by that kind of reasoning, what happens to people is they really don't have any real faith. They don't understand what faith is. And see, your faith doesn't have to give you a tickly feeling in your belly, or it doesn't. You don't have to. But I do think it has a lot to do with your confidence. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Just hold on to that thought about confidence. We don't want to get away from that word because that's a really good word to hold on to. Now, when your faith is affected, one of the things that happens is you lose confidence. Okay, you lose confidence in what you're going to do, how you're going to you lose confidence in your salvation. You lose confidence in your walk. And so let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. First of all, I want to read a definition to you before we do that. Let's read this definition about faith. And this is okay definition. A couple of them here. It says faith, and it says faith is a noun, and I really think that faith is a verb. It's an action we do. And so let's just look at it. Faith. It says complete trust or confidence. Notice that word there, confidence, in someone or in something. Um, this restores one's faith and blah blah blah. Let's not even do that. Antonyms of faith are trust, belief, confidence. Remember that word, confidence. Conviction. Notice that word, conviction. And that is a really good word. I also want us to hold on to that word, conviction, because our convictions, they come from our faith, how we live our life, and and these are tangible things. Confidence is a tangible thing. It is a proof, a tangible thing, something that we can hold on to. And when our confidence is affected, our faith is affected. When our conviction is affected, our passion is affected. And then optimism, and we don't want to get any more in there. And there's a couple more definitions, but we're going to stick with this one, and then we're going to go ahead and go to we're going to X out of that, and we're going to go to Hebrews chapter 1, or not Hebrews chapter 1, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, and we're going to read there. I hope it don't give me a bogus. Um, oh my, it's trying to have a hard time here. All right, here we go. Well, I'm going to change this, so give me just a second here. I apologize for the wait. Okay. Now it says in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Now, let's look at the word faith. What is faith? A hope. Faith is a substance of things hoped for. Well, hope is a confident expectation. Confidence. Remember that word confidence. Here's the thing. If we don't have any confidence in our salvation, I don't I don't I think it affects our faith. Okay? And what I mean by that is that our doubt and faith in what the Lord has done is it affects how we walk, how we live our lives. Now, most people would say, because I believe that we ought to live by the commandments of God, that I'm saying that we would they would say that I would be saying we're saved by works. James said very plainly, very clearly, faith without works is dead, being alone. In other words, it don't mean anything. There's nothing to it. There's nothing to faith without works. And people want to take works out of the equation, but you can't. You cannot take works out of the equation. You can't take faith and works and separate them. Here's the thing. When you're walking along with the Lord and you are praying and you're having fellowship with the Lord, you're walking in the light as He is in the light. And that's what the Word teaches us. When we do that, when we walk in the light as He is in the light, we're not going to try to find ways not to obey the Lord. See, people want to say once saved, always saved. Well, I believe when your faith is what saves you, but as you're walking along, if you have faith, you're going to do what the Lord tells you to do, or you don't have any faith. In other words, some people would say, well, I have levels of faith. Well, yeah, I agree with that to a point. We do have levels of faith, but the bottom line is when you come to a place where you reject the Word of God as being something that you want to allow in your life. Well, when you do that, what happens? Well, number one, the conviction comes on you that you need to be obedient to the Lord. It won't quit telling you that you need to be obedient to the Lord. It will not stop uh, telling you that you need to be obedient to the Lord, because the Word is the truth. And the Word is sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing to the dividing of the soul and the spirit and the intents of the heart. And there's a few other things it says there, but we're not really concerned about that. If your confidence is affected, you don't believe in your salvation, or your belief has been affected. What happens is your heart hardens when you start not listening to the Lord, not walking toward the Lord. And this is very important. So when you're confident, you need to believe in your salvation. But if you are going against God, you're becoming an enemy of God. Now, whether God's your enemy or not, that's irrelevant. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about whether you become God's enemy if you turn away from what God is telling you to do. You know, if Hebrews, when it talks about it there in chapter 11 there, it continues to talk about, and we're really talking about once saved, always saved, and not or if you can lose your salvation. Well, I believe you can lose your salvation. And the reason why that I believe that your salvation is conditional, it's not conditional upon whether you're good or not. It's whether you have faith or not in Jesus as your Savior. And when you have faith in Him, you're going to do what He asks you to do. He says, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. That's faith. If you love and care about somebody, you have faith in them. You have trust in them. You have belief in them. And this is really, really, really important. And if we want to believe that we stay saved, how could we enter into if we couldn't choose? If we didn't have a choice, if God took our choice away even after salvation, the Bible doesn't teach that, by the way, but let's just say that he continues to say, well, you're going to be saved. Well, what if I decided that I didn't want to be saved anymore? What if I decided it was against my will that I wanted to go into the next life that God had planned for me? I decided I didn't want to do that. I just want to live any way I want to. I don't want to have any obligations to the Lord anymore. I don't want to do what's right. And I hardened my heart against God. What do you think would happen in that situation? That's what you need to ask yourself. And you need to, there's a lot of scriptures we can talk about, and we will talk about those. And I'm going to probably do a series on this. But the bottom line is, we cannot, by any means, say that we're going to be just fine and God's going to make us go on into the next thing. That's not the way God works. And you know, it's really, really vain for someone to say that God is going to save us against our will. He would never do that. He would never make us go into the next plans he had for our life. And the reason why I'm staying away from heaven, because I don't believe we're going into heaven. And we're going into the new earth is where we're going, and we're going to live there. That's what God has planned for our being. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't be allowed to go into the heavens. I don't know what plans he has altogether about that, but I know that our dwelling place will be on the new earth. I don't think we'll go into the heavens, but that's not our dwelling place. That's not where we're going to be at. But anyway, I'm going to stop this video at this point, and just remember what we talked about a little bit. Remember what we talked about was confidence, and I remember I brought up Acts chapter 1 verse 3. We're going to get back to that, and we're going to talk about it. I really appreciate you listening today. I hope that I wasn't indecisive and wasn't clear about what I'm saying, but I will make it clear as I go along, and I will bring out the points that I intend to if you'll stick with me through this video series. And we're going to talk about some things that are very important about being saved and what salvation means, how it works, and how you can become apostate, like the word teaches. You can become an apostate, which means once you're saved, then you're lost. But I don't believe in that you can just lose your salvation that quick. I believe it takes a time to lose your salvation, because you have to convince yourself that you don't have it. There's a long process there, and a lot of hardening of heart. And once you're born again, that heart softens, and we're going to talk about that too. But anyway, I'll see you on the next video. I appreciate you listening again. I hope you stick with me through this series. We're going to learn some things together, because as I teach this, anytime I teach, I learn. But thank you very much. You have a good day, good night, whatever it is you're looking at this video. Good morning, afternoon. Anyway, God bless.